Hi, I'm Mike Motterum, the account manager at Fortifi, and in this video I'm going to take you through setting up workflows to deal with incoming mail in Fortifi. So one of the first things that you're going to want to do when receiving email in Fortifi is ensure that it's not spam creating support tickets. If you receive any spam emails, you want those to just be disregarded. So the way we do this is with workflows. These allow you to set things as spam if their spam assessing score is too high, or if they contain words that you deem as spam from your history within your own email. So within Fortifi, to start setting these up, from the main menu, click onto the Organizations menu and then onto Organization Settings. Within here, click on Workflow, and you'll see on the left we have a bunch of workflow triggers. The one we're focused on for now is this inbound mail workflow trigger with the trigger of email received. So if I click here, we can see we don't have any workflows currently set up for this brand, but I'm going to show you what you can do to create some anti-spam workflows. So we'll create a workflow here. I'll give this a name of spam, and we'll create that workflow. So the next section within any workflow is to define the rules. And this is where you can start making sure that the emails need to meet this criteria in order for this workflow to trigger. You can set any email properties you like. The key one for us in this instance is the spam score. Obviously you can do a similar thing with has virus. If it has a virus, you want to disregard that email. You don't want to be creating support tickets for it. So I'm going to set the spam score, and if this is greater than 10, I'm going to create that rule, and then on my actions I'm going to set this to stop processing, and this basically means that this email has been received, we've hit this workflow, and that's all that's going to happen to it. No support ticket will be created off the back of this email. I'm going to give it a reason of spam and save that, and on the settings I'm just going to enable this workflow so it will start triggering for any new emails that I receive on my organization. If we pop back to workflows now, we can see we now have a workflow created with a spam score just saying stop processing. So other emails that you might want to stop processing and not process through to support tickets might be auto responses from full email inboxes or auto out of office replies. And we can do this with keyword filtering. So we'll click on create another workflow, and we'll call this keyword. And in this instance, what we're looking for in our rules is that the subject or the content of the email match certain phrases. So I'm going to select subject to start with, and we're going to say contains. This just basically means that if this subject contains anything that I put in this value, it's going to be matched. So I'm going to pop in there out of office. Or we might want to filter out things which are automatically replied. For instance, if the subject contains delivery notification failure, it's a typical subject that you'll get back if the mailbox is full. We could also set up if the sender email starts with mailer daemon, as often on those automatic replies they come from the mailer daemon. We may even want to use the content of the email as our filter, so I can click in here and come down to HTML content and say that if this contains the words mailbox is full or something similar, I'll create that rule there. So we can just see if any inbound email matches any of these rules, then this workflow will trigger. Actions, again, I'm going to create the action of stop processing and a reason of mailbox it's full. There we go. And in settings, I'll enable this. So if we pop back to our workflows now, we can see we've got a couple of workflows here that are just going to stop email as it comes in if we don't want it to generate a support ticket. So that brings us on to what we want to do if we do want to generate a support ticket. To do this, we again need to use workflows, and what you do on a support ticket will depend very much on what email address that support ticket was sent to, maybe the content of that email, maybe the customer. There's a whole bunch of properties again that we can define in our workflows. So we'll click down onto Ticket Opened. And because this is a new organization, I don't have any workflows currently set up, so I'm going to create one. And we'll call this Support. So this is what I'm going to do if I get emails through to my support email address. I first need to set my rules, what these support tickets need to match in order to trigger this workflow. And we can see if I look in my rules, we now have lots of ticket-based properties to choose from and also customer-based properties to choose from in our rules. And this is because these tickets will typically be assigned to a customer if they're for an email address that we have against the customer in the system. So you can start to use these rules to really narrow down when you want these workflows to trigger. I'm going to use the brand email as my first rule because I want this only to trigger on emails sent to my support email address. However, I might have a few different support email addresses. I might have support escalations, I might have support queries. So I'm going to just use starts with as my comparator and put this as support. And I'll create that rule. So we can now see any email that comes in that creates a support ticket that has been sent to an email starting with support, that this rule will apply. We'll now pop into actions and I'll create an action. So what am I going to want to do to these emails that come into that support email address? I'm probably going to want to set their department and queue to the right department and queue for these tickets. So we'll do that. I'm going to set those to the support department, of course, and probably to the queue generic at this point because I've not specified them down to being this is a technical query, this is a billing query, etc. So I'll save that action. And this is the first thing that's going to happen to this support ticket when it comes in. I'm then going to create another action, and it might be that we want our support tickets to be a higher priority than maybe some of our information-based tickets. So I'm going to set the urgency on this to normal. Typically they'll be set to triage as a default unless you define them within a workflow. So I'm going to set that to normal. It just means that the priority on these tickets will be increased, so they're probably going to be picked up by our support agents a little bit quicker. And I might also want to send an auto response to my customer to say, thank you for your support ticket, we've received it. So I'll select that and we can see that our quick replacements pop up for our message off to our customer. The subject is defaulted, but can be edited at this stage if I want to put anything specific in here. Currently, it's set to read out our ticket display name, which is driven from the subject of the email that was sent in, and the ticket hash, which is auto-generated when the support ticket is created. We can see these are quick replacements. They will be populated when this message is sent to the customer. But of course, they have to be quick replacements at this stage because the workflow doesn't know the specific ticket it's being sent for at the moment. It's just a template that will be used when those support tickets are received. So I can fill in my message to the customer, and again, I can use these quick replacements to make it feel more personal. So we'll quickly fill that in. And you can use other replacements like the brand display name or even information specific to the ticket, like the department or queue that ticket is now in. I'm going to leave that really simple just for an example here, and we'll save that. And if we then go into settings, once I'm happy with my actions that this is going to take, I can enable this workflow. So if we now pop back to workflows, we can now see that this workflow has been created and that there is a description on the workflow detailing what it will do. This is helpful if you've got multiple workflows in here. Using the description, you can quickly see which workflow you want to edit or remove, or that you have a workflow that's already doing the action you've come in here to create a workflow to do. So in this instance, we can see it saying if the inbound email starts with support, as we said earlier, we're going to set the queue to generic, the department to support, we'll set the urgency to normal, and we'll send an autoresponder So the description details exactly what this workflow is going to do. If I want to, I can edit this workflow and come in here and we can see an overview of what this is going to do. We can change our rules if we want. We could change our actions, and that might be to add new actions, remove actions, or even move the action priority around. And this just means that we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this one. It's useful if you have things like you want to make sure you set the urgency before you put it into a support queue, for instance. So that's it. That's how to deal with inbound mail on Fortifi. How to get rid of any spam emails that come through, any auto responses that you don't want to create support tickets, and then once you're creating support tickets, how to deal with those inbound emails, turning them into support tickets in the right department with the right SLA and with the right priority against them to make sure that every email is answered quickly and in the right order.